Glad to have you here. Really glad to have back Senator Ted Cruz, Republican in the great state of Texas. Ted, how are you?
Pags, I'm doing terrific. How about yourself?
I'm living the dream. So before we jump in full-throated, I got to ask you about the Astros. What the heck is going on with our Houston Astros? Stealing signs and using technology, and everybody got fired. Man, I'm upset. I'm not happy.
It is painful. It's messed up. It's wrong, and I feel bad. Look, I feel bad for the fans in Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's a great ball club who was playing some amazing baseball, and to have it, integrity matters, and
Yeah.
I'm really saddened to see the Astros in this mess.
Well, A.J. Hinch, the guy's a really good manager, and he says that he didn't really know what was going on. I guess he destroyed one of these monitors when he found out, but I guess he just didn't do enough. I think the guy's really good, and I'm sad to see him go. He's done very well for the team, and I hope they bounce back.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here in my office in D.C., and I'm looking at the orange towel from the 2017 World Series that I waved like crazy, and I still remember Game 5 being there with my daughter Catherine, and it was just after her 7th birthday, day after her 7th birthday, and that was the game that lasted till 1:30 in the morning, and
amazing game.
I remember dancing with Catherine and the joy, and it just makes you sad. It's messed up.
It does. Hopefully they'll bounce back. Obviously, we have to talk about impeachment. For some reason, after a month, Nancy Pelosi actually found where the Senate is. And she decided to get those. I don't know what kind of courier she was using, but it took a really long time. Ted, why do you think she delayed it? What do you think she was doing? Do you think there's really something to this report, the reports that she was protecting Biden and others running for president?
Look, I don't know. I think it was nutty. It was a weird thing. Once they vote, and they've been saying over and over again, this is urgent, this is urgent, this is urgent, and then just, never mind. And I think it was a weird, she got in her mind that she could somehow blackmail the Senate and dictate how the Senate was going to proceed, and it was bizarre. And it obviously didn't work, and so finally I think she gave up on it, and they're sending it over. In some ways that month-long crazy delay at the end is a fitting end to what has been months and months and months of a biased, partisan kangaroo court the House Democrats had put on. I mean, it was one-sided. They ignored the precedents from both the Clinton impeachment and Nixon impeachment that allowed the minority to subpoena witnesses. They didn't allow the White House to cross-examine witnesses. It was entirely a partisan circus. But the good news is that I am confident the Senate will do much, much better. We're not going to do the kind of ridiculous proceeding that happened in the House. Instead, the Senate's going to be fair. We're going to respect due process. We're going to give both sides an opportunity to present their case, and we're going to give the president what he didn't get in the House, which is the opportunity to present his defense. And then at the end of the day, these articles are going to be thrown out. Why? Because on their face, they don't meet the constitutional standard of high crimes and misdemeanors. And so the end of this is going to be the president's going to be acquitted.
Well, I learned something from you last time, and I learned something from you every time that we talk about it. It's Senator Ted Cruz, Republican, the great state of Texas. When it comes to impeachment, it's not criminal, it's not civil, it is in fact political. But it's not supposed to be a partisan event or procedure. The founding fathers made sure that it wouldn't be by saying, and this is what you educated me about last time, treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. In what strange realm does Nancy Pelosi live and Jerry Nadler live and Adam Schiff live where they think that obstruction of Congress, which doesn't exist, and you can't obstruct Congress if you're going to the judicial branch to try to find out if Congress is doing the right thing, or an abuse of power, which there was no abuse of power in that phone call. We all know that. What makes them think that's another high crime and misdemeanor? It doesn't even come close, does it?
It doesn't, and they know that, but they don't care. Look, this was always about a partisan attack on the president. This is about congressional Democrats who've been angry since the day Donald Trump was elected, and ultimately they're angry at the American people. They're angry at the voters for daring to elect Trump as president. And what we've seen here, this is the first time in the history of our country that any president has been impeached without the articles alleging criminal conduct, without the articles alleging any crime at all. In fact, they don't allege the violation of any law, even a civil law. They don't even so much as allege the president had a speeding ticket. This is a partisan attack by Democrats who hate the president, and it's abusing the Constitution. Impeachment was not designed to be a vehicle for disagreeing with the policy or politics of the opposing side. And by the way, Pags, I can point to, look, the shoe has been on the other foot. I was in the Senate when Barack Obama was president. I disagreed with Barack Obama on a host of policy issues that were I think, badly harmful to the country and to 28 million people in Texas. And I led the fight against Obama's bad policies. But I never thought, and I never urged, that we use impeachment to go after him, because that's not what impeachment is designed for. This is the Democrats exercising partisan hatred, and they're abusing the Constitution. It's wrong.
And by the way, you could have gone after Obama potentially on impeachment for Fast and Furious, for spying on reporters and getting their phone records on the fact that the IRS was not allowing nonprofits that happen to be conservative to get that sort of status. You could have gone after him possibly on Libya and taking out a leader of a country because he felt like it. But as you say, you didn't, because, Ted, I think that you and I believe that if we don't like the guy who's in there, and if he's not committing like really perjury or some sort of a crime, then you just beat him in the ballot boxes. Do you think that the Democrats just are that convinced that they cannot beat this guy?
I just think that hate has consumed them,
yeah.
and we're more divided than we've ever been. It's unfortunate. This sort of screaming rage that divides this country right now, it's not healthy for the country, and I'm hopeful we'll pass through this. I'll tell you what I urge young people, if I'm talking to young conservatives, to libertarians, I say, listen, don't respond in kind. Don't respond with that same anger. Don't respond with that same rage. Laugh. Have a sense of humor. And respond on the substance. We can engage. We can disagree. The Democrats want to raise your taxes. Republicans want to cut your taxes. Let's talk about that. Let's have a real debate.
Right.
The Democrats want to take away the Second Amendment, want to take away your guns, want to take away your religious liberty. Republicans want to defend the Constitution and defend your religious liberty. Let's talk about that, but don't engage in just the nasty, screaming hatred. And unfortunately, I think right now the Democratic Party has given in to the really angry, extreme voices in their party.
Hey, it's Senator Ted Cruz. Always appreciate the time. So it's being very, very hush-hush. Can you give us a little bit of inside baseball? Do we feel like it's going to be a long procedure? Are we going to try to get rid of this right on its face because it doesn't rise to that level? Do you need 51 votes to get rid of it on its face like that? If it's going to be a trial, what kind of witnesses are we talking about? Can you give us anything, Ted?
Sure. So the way it'll play out, the House voted to transmit the articles of impeachment. They voted to appoint the House managers. They did that today. Tomorrow, the House managers will arrive physically in the Senate, and we will receive the House managers. And so 100 senators will be sitting there in our desks receiving the House managers. The Chief Justice will come, and the Chief Justice will swear us all in. That'll happen tomorrow as well. What will happen after that is we will have a briefing schedule through the weekend where both the House managers and the White House submit written briefs, submit their arguments in writing.
Okay.
And then the trial itself will commence on Tuesday of next week. And so Tuesday of next week, I think you will see initially some battles over motions. We're going to start with a motion that is going to pass, and any motion can pass by 51 votes. Once the trial commences, 51 senators have the power to pass any motion, to do just about anything with 51 votes. We're going to start by laying out the process that the trial is going to proceed under. And that process is essentially identical, nearly identical, to how the Senate handled the Bill Clinton impeachment.
Okay.
So phase one, which will commence next week, will be opening arguments. And the House managers will present their argument. They'll have 24 hours to do so, spread over a couple of days, and then the White House defense team will present their argument, and they likewise will have 24 hours spread over a couple of days. So that'll be the first phase. After that, you have questions from senators, and the Senate rules are a bit unusual on this in that senators are not allowed to speak in open session. So you're not going to see Elizabeth Warren and me going 15 rounds on TV, because if the cameras are on, we have to be quiet.
Okay.
The way we ask questions is we do it in writing. We write the questions down, and Chief Justice John Roberts will read our questions. And so we'll have what will be probably a couple of days of questions from senators to the two sides. And then at that point, the Senate is going to debate, and we're going to vote on whether to hear additional witnesses and additional evidence. And I don't know how that vote will come out. There's a division of opinion on whether additional witnesses are needed or not. But what I've said is, look, if there are 51 votes, if 51 senators decide they want additional witnesses, then at a minimum we need reciprocity, which means if the prosecution gets a witness, the defense should get a witness.
Of course.
That means if 51 senators say, for example, that they want John Bolton to testify, then the president should be able to call Hunter Biden to testify. And it needs to be fair. We need to do better than the House and not have it one-sided, but give the defense all of the protections that due process demands.
And when it comes to witnesses, I like that you get one, we get one, because I think that will make them pause before they start asking for more witnesses. But can you...
Right, and I think that could mean that the Senate decides, we don't need any more witnesses, we have sufficient evidence to decide, and witnesses aren't necessary. That's perfectly fine if that's where 51 senators end up at the end of listening to all the arguments, of listening to the responses to questions from senators. That's a perfectly good outcome if we say, all right, now let's vote on the verdict. And if that's where we end up, then at that point is when these articles will be thrown out, because the president will be acquitted and have a verdict of not guilty.
It is Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of the great state of Texas. Ted, I'm frankly almost completely out of time. But if you don't mind, what's your gut? I know what your gut was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I don't think the information has changed. Knowing what you know now, is there any chance this guy gets launched from office?
No. On their face, these articles don't meet the standard in the Constitution, which means the end of this, every senator is going to vote on each of the two articles, and you vote either guilty or not guilty. And to remove a president takes 2/3 of the Senate. It takes 67 senators.
Right.
That is not going to happen. The Democrats know that. This has all been about attacking the president, and it's an abuse of the Constitution to do so. So I, for one, will be very glad when this farce is over.
And again, maybe 20 seconds. Do you think that they represent these same articles again, or try to find more if they should lose?
I don't know. They might, but I doubt it. I think Pelosi was trapped into doing this by the extreme left wing of her base, and I think she's happy to run for the hills and give up on it after they lose.
Gotcha. And again, I think that is the information, the education we get from Ted Cruz when it comes to this procedure is key. We appreciate his time. I appreciate the education. Your thoughts on what you just heard at 1-800, actually 888-941-PAGS, 888-941-7247, joepags.com. We're coming right back. Stay here.